You know, sometimes the best solution to a puzzle you can't quite figure out, I'm out. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. It's been a minute, folks. I didn't do part five. Life and the world was a bit too heavy that I just did not feel in the right mindset or energy to kind of record about part five. It was a good episode. We'll probably bring up a couple of things here, but you sort of know what you're getting with this series. But I'm back in full force. I apologize for the few of you who are watching these recaps and reviews of We Own the City and who've been just kind of following the channel. I'm still here, still around, still doing things. It's just I have to kind of get back into the groove of everything. That said, part six of We Own This City is dropped, and I'm a little late. Again, live. This episode acts like a coda, if you will, to the rest of the series. It is very much a product of a true life story. There's not much you can fabricate on or expand upon or talk about more. This is the final piece of the puzzle. I made a point to not look ahead or like research anything until after this episode aired. So a lot of this stuff was still brand new and shocking to me. But there was a great deal of people who, especially of this city, who knew what was happening long before I did. So let's look at the major four, the big four, if you will, the ones that are on the artwork of everything: Jenkins, Nicole, Herschel, and Suter. This episode starts with Jenkins in prison, and they're finally coming to him. The FBI is finally coming to him and be like, "All right, cool, we got everything on you. We got a whole sheet. We can throw the entire book at you, but we don't think you're the prime guy. What can you give us?" And he's like, "I'm innocent. I don't know what y'all talking about." And he is of the mindset that all of his team is still backing him up and not holding that thin blue line. Even though we see flashback sequences of him and his team, and they're like, "Nah, no, if we don't snitch, and that's how what people do, we don't snitch the second that we get caught." And this entire time, which I didn't get to talk about in part five, he is aware that they are watching his team. He just has this bravado, and he has been protected for so long that he still operates as if nothing's changed. And so they're like, "All right, cool. You still holding on to that? You still holding on that you're completely innocent? All right, cool. Well, then we're gonna roll out. I'm gonna throw a book at you." And even his lawyer is like, "I don't think you understand. They got you. Your whole team has dropped a dime on you." And he's like, "Oh, I played this incorrectly." And so what we see is, lo and behold, he gets the longest sentence, 25 years in prison. And there's a sort of fascinating storytelling device where they use the opening scene that we saw when he was giving that massive speech to the cadets. And it's not, I feel like there might be some license incidents saying that all these people were in that room with you, but it's him speaking to like the commissioner and Suter and people on his team. I think it's just all the characters that existed in this series are kind of coming together, and he's giving this big bravado speech. We then turn and end it with him in the court, in the jail courtyard, by himself. No one listening, no microphone, no. It's just him alone in his own thoughts and what he has done and what he had become and how he wound up here. Um, it's a cool juxtaposition between how high he was on his throne, talking to all of his minions, and then how he has an audience of none. Nicole, Nicole very much has the, "F it, this is on y'all. I'm out. I can't do this anymore." She, after all the stuff that she has been doing to sort of try to get underneath and fix the system, and she sees that it's so far broken and it goes so many levels that there's really nothing that she can do here. And so she leaves it to the junior DOJ. Kind of like, "Yeah, it's on you. You got this. I'm out." Which, for a Hollywood story, not the best way, but for as real as this story is and how like they're getting all the facts correct, yeah, she just bounced. It's like, I can't do this, and it's understandable because as we go along, we see the end of this episode, the mayor is corrupt. The mayor is not giving the commissioner Davis, who wants to spend this money to kind of fix the police system. She's not giving him that money because she's like, oh, my babies, I got my school stuff, I got my this and this, and come to find out that she's embezzling money and counts of extortion. She gets sentenced to jail and some time off. The commissioner Davis knows that the second that he removes all non-uniformed officers and says everybody has to be in uniform, he does his thing, but he knows that the second he's going to be eliminated the second that the mayor changes, and he is. 3 days after he makes the decree that there will be no more no more ununiformed officers. He would leave the duty, and then the new mayor, Dubois, I believe, comes in, changes it right back, and then he is found on some illegal activities 6 months later. So it is this vicious cycle that Nicole was like, you know what? I'm out. I can't. There's nothing I can do here. This is a hotbed of mess, and I wish you all the best. We don't get too much of a time with Herschel in this. It's funny because he's the character that was probably the most racist and the most in it, but he becomes sort of like the second in command to Jenkins. So whatever Jenkins is doing, Herschel sort of follows in line. And while he is the heartbeat of what is the prototypical cop, who's that racist prick, everybody is sort of complicit in this. So yes, he's the poster child of what, like, oh, that's the cop that you don't want to be like, that racist mother, you know what? But the black cops are just as bad and compliant, and so is Jenkins and everybody else that sort of falls in line there. So he acts more as a beacon, but those crooked cops or those shady cops come in all shades and colors. But yes, he gets quite a bit of time as well. The biggest shocker for me, because I did not look ahead, was the Suter aspect of it. Suter was called into the office of the FBI, and they were like, hey, you're not a suspect. The one thing that Jenkins does give them is that he says that, yeah, okay, I'll confess I'm guilty to all these other things, but the one thing that I didn't do, that one car bust that we saw in, I think, episode 3 or 4, where he was speeding, they hit the one car, and the African-American couple, the husband died with the wife of the car, and then they searched the car that they were chasing after, didn't find anything, and then they had Suter go back and find something. That has come to bite him in the ass because Jenkins is like, hey, you might want to look into that because I had nothing to do with that. And so he's sort of dropping the seeds that Suter planted that evidence to get the bust. So the FBI comes to talk to him and be like, hey, just want to follow up on this. Can you come talk to us in front of the grand jury tomorrow and like have a conversation about this? Suter clearly has some demons in him. Now, we never see him take the money. We never see him do this, but he has clearly, at some point in time, taken a taste or felt that he did not do enough to not take a taste or to not put these people in harm's way, to sort of be a rat. He feels that he did not do enough because his conscience is eating at him. Now, he has since left that department. He's on a homicide. He's sort of now feeling like, I'm actually doing real police work. But that's still sitting with him. He isn't sleeping because of the grand jury. He's having a hard time with all of that. And so he sets up this elaborate situation so that he commits suicide in the line of duty. So that is how it is depicted here. That is how most reports sort of lean it, even though his family and and his lawyers say otherwise. More of that's probably because of the way that the money sort of is allocated in death towards him and from the pension. But it is considered to be an officer-involved shooting, but it is on the day of. But it is all signs point to it being a suicide. And so then I looked it up after this, and then sure enough, Jesus, this man took his own life because he took his own life one day prior to his being on the stand for grand jury. So clearly there was something going on in him internally, whether he did or did not take the taste, which most signs point to him doing so. He he felt that he needed to leave here because whatever he was going to say was going to damage himself and put himself behind bars. Which I don't, and he had a family. I don't know which one does more damage as far as with his wife, but either way, he just left. A lot of people just choosing the quote unquote easy way out. Like, I'm out. Nicole's like, F it, I'm out. Shooter, screw it, I'm out. Because it is better to sort of just wipe your hands of it and deal with consequences. Nicole really didn't have any consequences than to actually accept the fate that you're going. And so the back end of this episode doesn't feel like a filmed television episode, more though than a where are they now? And so we see each pairing of cops that were crooked kind of go in front of the jury and the judge and then get sentenced. And we get to see their sentencing. 12 years for a lot of them, 12 to 10 years for quite a few of them. 25 for Jenkins, somewhere in that ballpark for Herschel. In the previous Gun Force task, Captain got like 18 or something like that. So we see everybody go tit for tat. And that's not necessarily good television. I know why you do it because you don't really have anything else to do. Your story is kind of over, and you're kind of like, we need to put these people in the places that they are to show. And it does allow for people to kind of get online afterwards and do a little bit more research themselves. I would say all in all, this is a good episode, but it felt more like a coda to whatever we had before, where the meat of the first 5 parts is where the majority of the story takes place. As a whole, the series is good. It is not great because I think for it to be great, you have to be able to take some artistic liberties with the story and kind of do things here and there. But since you're stuck in this is what we have to tell, I think they do a really good job. There's some great acting in this. And it's sad that the story, I'll say that the story it feels a little too ham-fisted, but unfortunately it's all real and all true, so none of it was fabricated or made up. But it doesn't allow for much energy to kind of like, oh my God, what's happening next? Some people were already ahead of this. So all in all, good show. Not on the level of The Wire, which is one of the greatest shows of all time. This sort of acts as the companion piece, if you will, to what happens when many years after The Wire is over, that we still see that nothing has changed. Baltimore has been in this sort of vicious muck, all in all. And so it goes from the police to the commissioner to the mayor and back down and just cycles. It is a mess. My only real issue with We Own the City overall, while I think it's really good, I am of the people that would watch this show and believe that the point that the director and David Simon and them are trying to make is valid. But I feel like they're talking to a vacuum because the only people who are going to be watching this and feel like this are already in on this. This doesn't really do anything to kind of convince or change the people who are on the other side, who are with the Thin Blue Line folks, or with the police and how stuff needs to be regulated and defunded. It doesn't really speak to them so much. You're kind of now all with the rah-rah side. And I don't know if that's what the intent was for this, but all it does is sort of put a magnifying glass on the situation. Doesn't ask the audience or do anything to kind of tell us how to get out of it. But those are my thoughts on the series as a whole and part 6 of We Own This City. David Simon, again, if you put something out, I'm going to watch it. And what do you guys think about part 6 and this series as a whole? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. We just did an episode about Top Gun, which was a delight. Like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.